Hi guys, it's Jasmine. Welcome back to my channel. Today the video is going to be a little long, but it's a little bit different as well. I'm doing a product demonstration, if you will, for 5 different brands of embossing paste. So I'm going to show you the differences. I'm going to show you how they work. I'm going to use the same cardstock and the same stencil, the same glitter, and just show you how they work differently. So I'm starting with Prima light embossing paste. And the stencil is from Papertrey Ink from the Sunshine and Rainbow set card kit. And then I'm using Ritz Cool Highlight Glitter to mix into it. So I'm going to show you how smoothly it applies. And I'm using a plastic palette knife. And I really like the long blade on this one. It kind of allows you to gain easier and smoother coverage across the whole stencil. So I didn't quite grab enough, so I mixed up a little bit more there at the end. And you want to get as even and smooth a coverage as you can. So here I'm just taking a metal bladed palette knife and scraping off where it got underneath the stencil a little bit. Now that is going to show up slightly when it dries, but you can easily cover that up with sequins or another embellishment. So here it is after it's dried, and you can see that it's not quite opaque. It's still a bit translucent. And I used distress inks here because I figured that would be the easiest way to blend. All dye inks blend pretty easily, but this distress are uniquely formulated. They stay wet longer, so they blend just a bit easier than the rest of the dye inks on the market. And I like distress because they are so vibrant, and it gives you a good demonstration of how easily some of these embossing pastes take the ink versus others. And so the Prima doesn't take the ink as easily as I would like it to. It's not nearly as vibrant as some of the others you'll see later on in the video. And so I'm using I think 5 different colors on this one. And you'll see that I go over them several times to get some vibrancy. Because I feel like on this particular one they don't show up really at all, so I have to keep going over and keep doing layers and layers. Eventually the squeezed lemonade, it doesn't show up at all, so I just end up going over it with the twisted citron so that that corner doesn't look white or naked. And I do end up liking the softer look of this, but it's not my favorite. It's not what I expected this one to come out looking like. I expected it to be a little more vibrant. All in all, I probably put, I don't know, 6 or 7 layers of ink over this one, trying to get some opacity and trying to get some vibrancy. But this paste, so there's the 5 colors I used. And so this next one is the modeling paste Opaque matte, also from Art Basics, also from Prima. Same glitter. And then here it is dried. And you can immediately see the difference between the vibrancy in these inks and the opacity after they're dried. You can't really see the black cardstock through the paste on this one, whereas you could the other one. So I start with squeezed lemonade. Then I go to Mermaid Lagoon. And I particularly like where you get the bonus color between blending the two. That's one of my favorite things to kind of highlight about blending, ink blending in general, but especially with the distress inks, because you always get an extra color. And I'm just taking a rag to clean up the excess ink around the edges so that I don't get contamination. Because if you mix, you know, the yellow and the purple, you're going to get an ugly brown color. And that's not what we want. We want pretty, vibrant rainbows. So I'm going in with Wilted Violet, and you get that really pretty blend between the Mermaid Lagoon and the Wilted Violet. And in the same vein as you would ink blending on paper, you just want to go over where they blend to smooth out the transition. And next is Picked Raspberry. And last is Carved Pumpkin. And I was anticipating the color I would get between the Carved Pumpkin and the Picked Raspberry, because it's not two colors that I have blended together before doing it on this project. And I just took the edge there and blended between the two. And I'm going back in with a squeeze of lemonade to kind of punch up that yellow color in that corner. And I just use circular motions with the ink blenders. And those are the Ranger mini ink blending tools with the little circular foams. I did have some snail adhesive on the back to kind of hold that in place while I blended on it. And there's a difference between the two Prima pastes that you'll see. So the next one is Wendy Vecchi Studio 490 embossing powder, embossing paste. Add the same glitter to it. And the cardstock that I use in all of these is black from Simon Says Stamp. It's a nice heavyweight cardstock, and it can stand up to the moisture from the embossing paste without warping too badly. And I'm using the shorter metal spatula here, and it's not my favorite tool. It can be kind of hard to get a smooth layer, even layer, with a shorter blade like that. So I was really missing my plastic one. And here I'm using Ranger texture paste. And this one is a little bit drier than the rest of the paste that I try in this video. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a little bit different texture. The same glitter. And see that long blade allows you to get an even coverage. I just cleaned up any excess paste I got under the stencil with that metal blade. And the next one is Liquitex flexible paste. I tried to show you on the back of these jars, they have a guide that shows you their opacity, so how solid they are when they're dry, clear versus completely white, and if they're flexible when dry or rigid. If they're flexible, it just means that you can, if it's on paper, you can move it around a little bit without it cracking, or if it's rigid, it'll crack if it gets moved at all. Now, the thing I didn't like about the Liquitex is that it does have a chemical smell to it. It's not real bad. It's just not necessarily pleasant either. But it does go on smoothly. So this might be a good choice if you're doing mixed media and you're going to paint over it. So you're going to use an opaque medium over the top. It might be a better choice than doing something where like ink blending, where the medium is translucent itself. So as you can see, it smooths on really nicely. It's nice and soft and creamy. No excess under the stencil this time. Go me. And this last one is Teresa Collins Modeling Paste. And I couldn't tell the difference between this and the Liquitex. Other than the Teresa Collins, it does have a little bit stronger chemical smell to it, which I didn't really like. But it is nice and creamy and smooth, and it does go on easily. So again, this would be better suited to doing something where you're going to use an opaque medium, such as acrylic paint, over the top. So I'm just adding a little bit of water to a paper towel to clean off my palette knife. And you want to make sure that you clean your stencils and tools immediately, otherwise you can ruin them. So here is the panel with the Ranger texture paste dried. And I'm going in, starting with some squeezed lemonade. And the same method as I've used on every other panel, circular motions with the same distress inks, and just ink blend those over the paste. So starting with Squeezed Lemonade, secondly Mermaid Lagoon. Next is Picked Raspberry. And I just clean up between colors to avoid contamination. And I wanted that blend. I wanted that transition and those overlap between colors. So I go over and over them and over them. And next is Carved Pumpkin. So when you're doing ink blending techniques like this, make your sections of ink a little bit wider than you normally would, just so you can get the blending between the two colors. And I always find it exciting to see what color will kind of emerge when you blend the two. And I go back again with a squeeze lemonade to get more of that yellow to pop. So there's the 4 colors I used. So the next one we're going to go in is the Liquitex. And I've started with Twisted Citron. And it doesn't accept the color as vibrant or as easily as I expected it to. So Blueprint Sketch is normally a darker royal blue, but it came out fairly light in this application, so I had to go over it several times to try to get that vibrancy. And I really never did get it as bright or as intense as I wanted it. And it was kind of the same case with all the colors I used over this particular medium. And I think it's because it's more of a plasticky base in it, so it's not going to accept a wet medium. And that I think that's why it's better suited to an acrylic paint type of application. So you're using more of an opaque medium over the top, and that's really what it's intended for. It's not necessarily intended for ink blending over it. But if soft effects are what you're going for, then it might be a good choice for you. The inks did blend easily together over the top. They just weren't as vibrant as I would have liked. And last but not least is the Teresa Collins Modeling Paste. And this one was my least favorite out of all 5 of them. I had the same issues with getting vibrancy as the Liquitex, but even more so because the inks did not want to blend over the top of this. You can see where the pink and the yellow meet. There's significant lines there that I can see. Maybe it's just because I made it, but they don't blend easily. And I'm not getting that extra bonus color as I like to get. Like I get a tiny bit of purple between the pink and blue, but not as much as others. And I really have to work at it. That one beam there between the pink and blue, you can see a little bit of purple, but yeah, it was not easy to get the inks to blend on this stuff. And the colors didn't come out as vibrant either. I go back in with the yellow, trying to get it to blend with the pink to get an orange between the two, and it just wasn't cooperating like I would like it to. So there are all 5 panels. That first one is a Liquitex, And you see that there's a soft blend between the colors, even though they're not as vibrant as some of the others. And there's the Teresa Collins. And the colors are not as vibrant, and they did not blend as easily, if at all, in some parts. And there's the Prima matte, and that is the second most vibrant of all 5. And you can see the glitter kind of showing through. The glitter didn't come out as brightly as I thought it would in any of them, really. There's the Ranger, and that is where the inks are the most vibrant, the most true to color. And I think the glitter came out the most heavily in that one as well. And then there is the Prima Light paste, which is slightly more translucent than the matte Prima. But the inks did blend decently on there, although they are not as vibrant. And so here's stick adhesive. I tried to show you the size of those sheets, and they're the handy size when if you go to order it, like say from Ellen Hudson or Simon has it too, and I want to say it's 8 by 6. But I just applied whole sheets to some 40 pound weight vellum, and I believe that's Stampin' Up! Brand. I'll have everything listed on my blog that I used in all 5 of the cards. So I coated both sides with the Stick-It to make some glitter paper. And that's a Stampin' Up! Butterfly die. And then the Blessed die is from Simon Says Stamp, and the Thanks is from Lawn Fawn. So here I used, for the butterfly, I used the cool Hightlight glitter. And the cool Hightlight reflects cool colors, so pink and purple and blue and a little bit of green. So I just add that over the top. Put the excess back in the jar. And then rub over the glitter with my finger. And this burnishes the glitter into the adhesive, so it's not going to keep flaking off. And this is a super fine glitter as well. It's super soft. And the Blessed is the same brand in Stardust. It's like a champagne-y color. Really pretty. And this also like polishes it almost, so it kind of brings up the shine even more. And you want to do your best not to touch the adhesive if you can avoid it. Sorry, there's my phone wanting to be involved in the video. So there's burnishing the glitter on the Blessed die cut. It's so pretty. I love the handwritten look of these die cuts as well. And there's the Thanks, and I use the warm highlight, and that reflects oranges and reds. So I kept the sentiments pretty simple, and I wanted the texture paste and the ink blending to shine through. In that blue is Die Cuts with a View foil paper. And then on that one, I tried to die cut a stitched heart from Lawn Fawn, but it didn't quite cut through all of the texture paste. So it just stayed in there. So there's all 5 of our cards, and I have some still shots at the end. So thank you for sticking through this long video with me. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will be happy to answer them best I can. So all of my social media links are on the final clip of the video. Thanks for hanging out with me, and have a great day. Bye-bye.